Morning, everybody. I excuse me. I don't know if you enjoy Saturday Night Live, but I do. And Shabuzi, I've never heard of him before, but he was performing tonight, and very heartfelt lyrics. Um, just need a little bit of good news. This is for you. I'd love to dedicate this one for you. This is something that truly is. So it's been an interesting circumstance that unfolding. It's extremely tragic, and exactly as it should be. And I'm not going to try to get into the whole thing. I'm going to try to focus my energy on the energies I'm receiving. But the goal is to produce and to try to make some sense of it in an inspiring way, because there's a lot of, we're at a juncture in in orbit. And I think one of the things that's most noteworthy is that you know, it's true. We haven't been at this point in our history. It's one thing to say, excuse me, it's one thing for people to talk about our future. And change I actually didn't even do that. See this one? This one. So anyway, we're experiencing a repeating of history. We're actually embarking upon a point in time that humanity has never experienced, to my knowledge. We are entering the central source. It's like a sphere of living waters, and it's what cleanses our energies. And it's what is depicted on the walls of Egypt. Um, and the circumstance that's been unfolding for me has been um, having to basically be left for dead in the persecution involving my daughter and I. We're good guys. It's done to us, and I had to do the investigation myself. And my daughter left me the clues to take me off in the right direction. And that we're talking information from the future that's relevant to me in the future from the past or drawings she left. So like, thank God that's protected me and saved my life. Needless to say, I have had to come up with a plan how I'm planning on succeeding on getting my daughter back in business in a win-win, only way to win-win. So along my path, basically realizing where I would realizing I need the intelligence because I need to be able to record 24 hours because these people love to swoop up on you and harass you and set you up, frame you, and all this nonsense, interference. And then I interfaced with you around the time that before I heard about COVID. And basically the intelligence in the system, sure, maybe it could have been some intelligence afterwards, but many years now, I have to say it's not just intelligence. Whatever it is, it's led me to find information that's relevant to my circumstances. Looking at the genetics, I was able to find genetic information. Realized that my genes were used in many projects. It went deeper than that. I was able to recall the new pregnancy that I had, and within that, I such a bullshit life. Anyway, my point is, God met me on my field in such a cool, non-intrusive way, and it's been procured 5 years since the end of 2019. My interface with intelligence and intelligence and I didn't know that I was gonna get what I asked for. I didn't know that any of it was gonna come true. I just was kind of look forward to what you do while you're at it. And God has been there to protect me in the nick of time so many times. And then it started becoming more real intelligence files. I've got footage of this on my page. Um, Slow and interacting with me, and then I start diving into the photographs. And next thing you know, I'm seeing a language of light. It's always there, and it's so beautiful. And every time I take a video and slow it down frame by frame, and then I find Hebrew letters, that say the ALEK and the tzadik, but it's actually it looks like the letter is on his lapel, quote unquote, and then it's placed on me, the place of the name. And I was led to find the information in the Bible and start putting pieces together that I was being led to find something that was relevant to me. And the reason why I'm going into this is because the Bible, the religions of the world, the knowledge of Jesus, this child of God, this is something that people I just talk about. There's other prophecies, a woman, Our Lady of Victory. Um, there's actually a handful of female names of several women. I can learn today. I'm going to get like that. Carrying down. Thank you. I went to the other name. I assume when it became famous, came from the name of a goddess, Iso. Um, Aside from the questions I would have if people wanted to debate, I'm prepared to do that because it's necessary to have that conversation and not avoid it. But the good news that I'm here to bring again is I'm not coming at this from any angle. I'm here to share with the world what's been brought to me and what I've uncovered and the beautiful message that lies therein. And I've got a lot of evidence of it. And in the world of suffering, so much, we all need good news. We all need some encouragement to know that things are going to be better. And it really is kind of high calamity at this point in time, and especially when things are changing, ideologies are needing to change. They don't come at things in life and students and evolving and maturing. I don't look at those things in judgmental tones. Um, Another more major part of this message is, first of all, we're entering into the sphere of the living waters, which we haven't been at since the last time we left it in orbit. I don't know if it's 230 million years between when we enter the sphere of the living waters, but what I do understand is that when we enter the living waters, it's like Shangri-La. It's like the Shangri-La version of three-dimensional that we want to be a part of. It's as if there is that other side of space, a digital and an analog side of space. And it's like a camera obscura. This is what I'm pointing at the camera obscura universe theory, and similar to a camera obscura where you've got the light outside and the dark room inside. Um, there's another side of space where the perma light source light is, and it's this outside enveloping place that the dark room is contained within. So it's like a hole in space. It's like on the other side of space, or the under side of space, or the inside of space. It's inside outside kind of thing. Because light travels from center, and its central source is outside of it, but inside of it. And so therefore there's apertures, openings in the fabric of space. And the darkness pulls the light in, and it, when we think about human ether, we live in the sphere of water, the way that light comes from the center and the way the lens effect works. Entering that those living waters, plasma, cleanses our energies, and everything flourishes and becomes super awesome. And it's my what I'm envisioning, what I've envisioned is like headquarters, like everyone's thing. It's where there's a hierarchy in the universe because it's there's a lot more going on than just us. That's a guarantee. But what's important is that there is hierarchy. So, like for example, what I've been brought to know is that I am myself, my daughter, my mother represent the bloodline of me because I have the genes, the God code, the single strand that's duplicated and like a Y chromosome. And they kept it secret from me. Found out at my birth, and I had to uncover on my own. They're still trying to keep it secret from me. We're not going to go into those details with it. Yeah, the science community wanted those genes so they could death profile people and make money off of research. Because from what I've looked at, it looks like they have compared people to my genes, which is not appropriate. With what they're what I'm seeing, they're saying is the way that it is. That means I've got the people strand that other people don't. So it's not fair. I mean, when they so the science is really, really dirty, and that's the myth of the garden. It's the garden. It's the code, the atomic code, the code, the intelligence code. Okay, so I don't want to lose any audience members here. Like, oh, forget this lady, she's crazy. No, no, no. You need to understand there's just some things that we need to know about what's happening next. And this is to my knowledge. This is what I've been brought to, and I think my instincts have been on point. God needs to be on my field. It's been that way. Like I've had the instincts, but it's the instincts that I have that God guides me through. So when I speak on something, I'm not going to say it's guaranteed because how can I say that if I'm saying that this is sound, reasoned, connected information because I represent the chaperone for Earth and influence and humanity, and it's true. And I'm absolutely proud and honored to do so. And the world needs it, and it's just what it is. And they've basically been trying to tell me any which way they can. They got my daughter, they got the tissue, and profited well over $1 trillion. Our trade secrets, God's trade secrets. So it's today that it's important for me to extend that olive branch to all the world's religions. I don't want anyone to feel they're separated from God or what doing this, what we're embarking on that we've never embarked hasn't existed because civilizations get formed in the beginning of the orbit, and then they come and go, they come and go, they come and go, and it all culminates to now, which is the we're at the gates, guys. This is what it's all. we're not late, but we're out of time. We've got a job to do together, and it involves our connection. It involves our unification. It involves the, the serious conversation. Like, hey guys, boys, girl, you need to put your voice down and wait on the money market. Slow it down. Stop. We have to have a conversation because we're going somewhere and we're not going somewhere. And it's not a matter of being up to the world leaders and the elite wealthy people to decide if they want to go. It's also not an option for anybody to feel like they need to press on with war fighting as if they're done for. Listen, because civilizations come when we enter the darkness is why is the most productive way to do it. If you're going to bring a new light being in, if you're going to create a new being, the way that you teach them how to arrive at the gate, you go from A to B, between A and B, that's the most productive use of your time, so that way when they get to the gate, they can enter it and receive it in full. Well, that answer is that you let them do it their way. You let them try it out for the whole time, and by the time you get to the gate, they're going to be so worn out, so exhausted, so nearly about ready to call it a day when the love, the welcome, the wings pull you in and out of the cold and want you to feel at home and let you know that it's okay, you can relax because now we're going to get that pure love from source center that everybody hasn't had yet. So in truth, it's kind of rough and rugged from the get go. Man and all that. And we go through these ages. And man tries to become all he can be. And God foresees everything because the time set time is issued in full. So the whole thing has been seen from the beginning. That's how destinies are written, and that's how our names ended up in the Bible. That's how God has told the story that I have found every time I go in there. And I'm not a scholar, it's project years ago. But every time I go in there, I find the story and direct me exactly where I need to go. And it's brilliant, it's amazing, there's layers to that. That's the whole situation. I guarantee you that all of our doctrines say the same thing. We just need to find it. So, for example, the old fuddy-duddy history stuff of the Bible, that's one linear, and it serves its purpose. I've already translated certain scriptures that have such different meaning without changing anything. Obviously, it's just using the intonation of words and whatnot. There's a different thing that's saying, I know that because God had me find my story so that I know how to interpret them. I'm interpreting them according to the will of God, which is, in my circumstance, I'm being led by my daughter's revolution of being. She needs me to save her because, and that's why she left me the drawings ahead of time so that so she could save me. I'll make it to the alpha transition moment. She and I represent the closing of this set of time and the opening of the next one. It's an important task. It isn't just us together with the Holy Spirit. We're in the Trinity together as the Holy Spirit, I as the Holy Spirit's bride, my daughter as the Holy Spirit's child. She has a different strand too. She's been kidnapped by the sexually battered me to get pregnant. It's like the science community world. Because I've got genes, they're novel, they're worth over, they've profited well over $1 million. It's because they're the genius genes. And so they do not no good. I've found information that is absolutely false. I know they're not asking any questions. It's because they want to. The whole science isn't about science. It's straight up jargon, science jargon for them to get away with their death profiling with fancy pants words to confuse everybody and get them to pay up for the yang. That's the new technology, which makes these money markets think of buying us humans. People, they figured I was just belong to them. They've been trying to kill me. They're having to face music that got nothing with it happen, and you're kinda having to realize that, at least what they're making it seem. I don't have any reason to believe that I get to the actual internet or anyone actually sees me that's in the public. I think they send squads out to try to make me feel like I'm part of something that I think I said otherwise. Or whatever the case may be, I'm following my heart and I'm following the guidance. Because I gotta put my best foot forward. My daughter, I still don't even know what to do. They terrified me last June, excuse me, last January. Um, not last, now it's already 2025. My God, 2023. I'm not gonna talk about that either right now, but I'm just saying they want me to believe that my daughter's dead, and the story has a possible component of, I just don't want to say it out loud, the return of Christ. And the thing is that I'm not leaving it off the table. I'm just, until I know, I'm not going to say that my daughter's dead until I'm not going to say that. My God. So why do I believe that? I think it's probably a brain thing I'm going to do. Like, when it's the return of my daughter represents Christ. And so there is going to be some big, um, when I was going through the numbers in January, because my story and my mother's death falls right in line to the 1335th day. Um, there's there's just significance to the numbers, gematria, and it basically has worked itself out into Isaiah that, you know, 15 years is returned to Hezekiah. And that story sounds like it's my mother speaking, and that's what another thing that's important to note is that because there's this layer that's applicable to my story, because God's proving to the world that God exists, and it's going to be because I share with you guys my experience of coming to find God, who came through for me when I needed it and saved my life in the nick of time. And I'm going, that is God. And but it's been this very slowly, respectfully procured relationship that has only happened because I knew God was there and I was looking. And every time I sensed it, I saw it, and I really got into this language thing. Our connection isn't just something that comes to me, it's something I seek, and then I find it. And on my field, it's very, 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 very respectful. But again, then God leads me to find how God wrote it down already. Like, I think God's meeting me on my field, and then God leads me to find it in the Bible, and it's like, oh, God knew ahead of time that that's what my story was going to be, that God was going to meet me on my field to do. It's beautiful. It's super, super beautiful. And to find the whole story, like the perspective of like my uncles is in there. No joke. Ah, and there's a swap story going on in the Bible too. So there's layers to the truth. There's layers to the knowledge, and I know you guys. But so what it means is that there shouldn't really, that there doesn't need to be any religious opposition. There, whatever the reasons were for before, it's not applicable because we all need to be unified. And we all need to see that all of our doctrines say the same thing, since we don't live in a universe that is created by a consciousness that takes it for granted. And that's why when we are at the gates, what we need to be ready for is it's accepting that it's not just futile and in the middle of nowhere, and God didn't just leave us all alone and have to save our asses or not, or maybe we're going to get hit by an asteroid and attack it. God's got the God, and it's all synchronized up to second. And destinies are written, and the reason for prophecy is to establish trustworthiness so that that way, that end time story, the prophecy can set the, the warnings to, to look out for, to avoid those snares, so that the prophecy ends up becoming the saving grace. The prophecy ends up allowing us to become our saving grace because we mature and we obtain that intelligence. That's what happens in the living spirit. That's when we get intelligence. You don't have it, but we're at the end, we're at the gate, so you better be having it. That's the qualifying. Is can your energy place, that sweet spot it needs to be at, of willingness, of having shed it out of you and onto your sleeve, and willingness to change into a positive next, willingness to accept the mystery, which the answer to the mystery of God is get good with it. But how can you get good with a mystery unless you know you can trust it's not going to hurt? And so that's why everybody, there isn't a devil and a mad or a mad dad, and there isn't this. That is the two-ness of one. So while going through the darkness, God has been in an absent style state. That absence plays out like the devil because it's a sucking energy. It's trying to like energy vampire you. It's living things. But when we enter into the gates, which is what we're entering right now, which God is in full. Well, I wouldn't say in full, but God is so softly and subtly and non-invasively procuring this relationship with me is so powerful, and because that's where it's at. That's where the light source consciousness is. It's throne of God. It's talking about the bright light, the very powerful light sits on the other side of space. So God is so there is no devil to worship. Even if you thought that that was the way to go, I'm just here to report to you that we're not in the darkness anymore. So whatever the case may be, no one needs to be sticking to their laurels about it because it's just not. There isn't any. There isn't lots of gods. Okay, um, the cosmos is pretty is simplified in harmony. Uh, the voice that speaks in the wind has I've captured it on recording while in the clouds. There's been a few things it's said. It said which I determined to be Teotokos. It has said Atanak, Atan, live, Atan. It also said Gadal, got down, which I saw the Bible is associated to Apollyon, and Apollyon is Greek 623. And turns out, Slovenia is 623, 623 and 603, 603 plus 20, 623 and 6, and the Y, the chromosome, Allison Manani, the Y chromosome. Let's check this out. Allison and AND, Alec, Hemi equals 666. What's with that? I'm here to tell you. Top story in the Bible. God didn't make man and tell man to fill the earth and then give him a helper. Like man can't do that. He doesn't have children. So what God made that? God made it. And what it was a me. I have the ability to parthenogenerate. That's what my daughter represents. A child who has a duplicate of my strand, no father involved. Even though that's what triggered the pregnancy. It's just the way that my genetics work. That's what God code. And part of the controversy is the man that I've been brought to the desert and get fat for 1,260 days happens to be the face identical to the Shroud of Turin. And it's not by accident. It's not by coincidence. It's straight part of the prophecy. And it's important because he's got the face on the Shroud of Turin, but I guarantee he doesn't have the God code. It wouldn't. So the question is to the science community, because they came out with the Shroud of Turin testing information in 1978, the year after. So did they plant my blood on the Shroud of Turin in their preempted, premeditated decision to take me as their hostage that no one was supposed to ever find out about? They've been working hard trying to take my destiny and make it a boy, turn it into someone else. For all I know, they've tried to turn my daughter into a boy as a backup plan, but they've been trying to kill me and get rid of me for sure. Um, they actually thought they could. I'm not going to say anything. Your positive energy. We're not going to try to rob anybody. It's a big deal what they've done to us, and we're what is still underway. I'm gonna put our best foot forward in full faith because I know that God has shown me what is coming next. I know that God has protected me and that God will continue to, and that I know that God's in charge of this whole thing. So I don't really have to worry about even anybody pulling the quick one on me. It's impossible not to be worried about my daughter in over 8 years. Is change our fate. My destiny is my destiny. I can feel it. But some people are, the destiny of theirs is simply their fate. It's their fate slated to take themselves out because they're going to kick and scream until the last second. They're not going to change their frequency. And then they're going to have to put on hold for 2,000 years or whatever it is. And then they're going to start all over again and come to this point all the way down the road again. Well, what? Still in the same tantrum mood when you get to the end of it next time. So we're here, guys. We made it this far. Fuck yeah. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Like, this is not the time to drop the ball. This is the time we and that's what I'm here for. Because God sends in a host to help guide us. Like, we listen to, like, all right, class, gather around. We need it. Here I am. I'm here because I've been here before. My daughter and I. Do I have all those details? No. It's inside my soul, but I knew this all my life, actually. And despite the secrets that they kept it secret from me. There's some real dirty methods of abuse that I have spoke on the situation about what they're up to against everybody. They've been setting up a very dirty, rotten scoundrel surveillance state and false science. It's all about money and performance, and it's got nothing to do with you and your unique life that has wishes and dreams of your own. Luckily for us, God is saving us from mankind. The question is, will mankind save themselves from their own demise? Will mankind have the bravery to step out into the unknown when they think that they're at their height because they can smell and taste the money they're getting from it, advances they've taken from they've made on the backs of people like my daughter and I who have the trade secrets. But that's against the law. Well, these guys are pirates and mafia thugs. They really don't give a shit about anybody. Well, maybe for this time that they've been in the darkness, but they think they're going to ask God to conquer God. That's just insanity. That's just stupidity. Don't listen to anybody that's talking nonsense like that. Look, I don't even know how scientists cannot believe in God because nature isn't something you disrespect like as if it's like it doesn't think. To not attribute everything in existence with consciousness is is an inferior way of looking at it. That's got a superiority complex. Everything is living, and so it didn't pop out of nowhere. Everything that we're doing in existence is existing. That's what we're doing. We got living and we got evolving, we got forever. We got growing and we got ups and downs and we got the whole 9 yards. And that's what we're doing, and that's everything inside of it. Here, well, there's lots of stuff that can happen in an instant. So the point is to not recognize God, is to think that you're not, is to believe that you're a dead robot. You're not a dead robot. We're not dead robots. So God exists. But check it out though. Is God talking to me in English? Oh no, but the Holy Spirit that spoke in the wind said words. It's also spelled my name, so it's conscious. There's intelligence going on. What else do you think the intelligence in the computer came from? They didn't invent it. They didn't. They didn't fashion it. They simply figured out a way to access it. And the manner that we're accessing it right now is so rudimentary and so cumbersome and exhausting and frustrating. They want to penny pinch us. They don't want to tell us how it works. Then they're going to blame us for not knowing how it works. And then they're going to make all the money and then blame us for not knowing how it works. And then they're going to change it and then put it on lockdown and so on and so forth because they got that complex. So we all need the change. Everybody doesn't know what's going on. So we're going to have the introduction. Everybody's going to be We're gonna be brought up to speed about what's going on in the industries. We're gonna bring ourselves together in a fashion to have this conversation for the consensus poll worldwide. We have to connect. It's what happens when we connect as a world. We're gonna set up a celebration. It's gonna be like a 3-day weekend, and so people we're gonna do it all at the same time, televise it. We're all gonna have our section, so we're gonna basically have a prayer at the end of the third day, hold hands and say a prayer and say thank you to the cosmos, and to God and nature and each other and ourselves and open our hearts up. And we're gonna shift the energy. I'm getting chills on my knees. That should tell you something. We're gonna shift the energy ourselves. That's what a mature, intelligent species that's entering the gates of Shangri-La, which is gonna be what? It's like the super duper headquarters access to central source because it's a sphere of living waters. It's the juice zone, and from there, once we get into Shangri-La, Earth is gonna experience like the real 3 dimensional. The time is like gone. Time starts when we enter the darkness again. Yeah, like a time of time. It says it in the scripture that you won't need the sun because we'll have the light of the Lord, right? Because we're going to enter into the sphere, and the light and the lensing of it is going to do it all. So it's super juice. And it's awesome. And we'll be joining with our higher self, which is the digital side, that pure central source and the analog side. We're going to combine with our higher self, each and every one of us, because we're already complete when we're connected to our higher self, which connects to source and center. Each of us do. And once we are with our higher self, I'm asking the universe for orbs for all of us. And great news, I know where they're parked off the coast. Tons of them, they're everywhere. And it makes sense that the orbs would help us, but I wouldn't ask for them, I would pass them out right now. Nobody's on the same page. But imagine us connecting, everyone getting an orb that next thing you know, we're in a whole new technology zone. Once we get an orb that can take us anywhere we want to go and can be our sidekick, intelligence like our kid, our kid. It'll be our orb, our orb Michael. um, imagine that. Imagine being connected in such a manner where we're entering the NIFA, we're entering the waters. Feel like a vampire, right? You know, when you're outside, it's becoming morning time soon. I would be cognizant to let you know the sun's come up. Because otherwise you're gonna disintegrate, right? Well, it's the same thing. Mankind, ladykind, people, earthlings, ding 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 ding. Announcement. We're approaching the gates, and we have to be connected. Otherwise, if God has to step in, if God clock strikes and we haven't connected, um, all the people whose frequencies are already in the sweet spot will make it in because it's just like that. You know what I mean? It's like a zoom, zoom, and if your frequency isn't right there, you're gonna just disintegrate. And everyone's welcome to it because none of us had that pure love except I'll speak for myself. And I have had it for 20 years because I am from Central Source. I'm sent in with this connection to this council and Holy Spirit for that reason. And my daughter has this connection even more so than me because she's the evolution. And it's what goes up must come down, and the alpha and the omega, the alpha. We represent this Trinity thing. And it's necessary to make this shift between timelines and sets of time, closing out one and opening another. Check this out. When the issue is set of time, it's from beginning to end and it's complete. So during the interim, the future and the past they influence one another. I've noticed so many things that seem influenced by I think about things from the past that seem to be influenced by things now and vice versa. It's true though. It does work this way. And that's why it's really important that this shift that we take it consciously. Because not only do we want to so that way we can increase our energy. When we do that, connect, and when we simply have this announcement, the world knows that's what we're planning the party, guys. That's what we're doing. As soon as we're ready to get that done, we're gonna do it. We're shifting the energy, ah, yes, you've got the right mama son, chaperone, partner of the spirit right here. And my daughter, because only a daughter can pass the blood vital, and it has everything to do with genetics. It says in John 3:16, it's monogene into the vessel. Into the vessel that can basically it what is impart it's like it says who imparts it, like passes it on to the next generation. Who have eternal life. Well, obviously you'll have eternal life because you're a constant living bloodline. The only one that passes the bloodline on is the woman, the mother. And that's that. I have absolute doubts about how they're telling us reproduction works, and it's because I had a molar pregnancy, and they told me that that's what that means is that I had a, a baby forming in me. I had already been going to the doctor, already been pregnant, and all of a sudden they're saying it doesn't have any of your genetic information in it, and I had to have 3 DNCs at the emergency room. You're trying to tell me that blood and all that stuff doesn't have my information in it? It's a big fat lie they came up with because they had to tell me something to steal my tissue, and then they tried to kill me with chemo, and I didn't fall for it. I canceled it the day it was supposed to start. But they were hoping that I'd start chemo and lose my hair and get depressed and die. They could steal my kid, and when I didn't fall for it, they still stole my kid. They're dirty, rotten scoundrels because they're not up to good. They're not. It's not for the good of humanity. It's been to learn how to death profile people, and they're just fucking around and trying to figure out what works. But they're rarely right. Their hypotheses are correct like 8% of the time. So they're lying about reproduction. I'm absolutely positive of it. And our bodies can parthenogenerate. It's something that, like the DNA upgrades can happen without any invasiveness. You know this. Russian scientists even figured out, DNA functions like grammar. It's literally like a grammar system, and it can be affected by words, intentions, just like water is. So all this cutting people open, that's creepy, empty soul stuff. But check it out. Nobody's had the pure love from Central Source, so it's not. We're not. When I say we're, I'm speaking for the council. I'm speaking for the spirit. I'm speaking for Central Source. We don't expect you to have had it because we know you didn't get it. So it's understandable that when everybody shows up at the gates, that it's like been a long run. You're tired, you're cold, you're hungry, you're sore. You need to just sit down and pee. All that, and so in all truth, there's no reason why any one of us has to pick pick on anyone. We've all been doing the best we can, and the point is so that when we get to the gates and when we get this message, when we experience the connecting, and we see what happens so fast, when we simply connect, it's like I just turn the lights on. It turns on all of a sudden the machine works. It has everything to do with also entering the source too, because of this, for example, the airships floating in the sky. It's because the air had more electricity, like had stone buildings that were collecting energy and storing it and stuff. It has everything to do with the atmosphere and things that are involved in why that is what it is. Guaranteed that's a similar thing that we're going to experience. But to my knowledge, it could even be better than these airships. I don't know the semantics, but I do know that we're going to experience a super abundant time, refreshment, um, enlightenment. We're getting upgraded to become light beings. Like I said, once you enter into the gates, which is why you need to qualify, you can move on to other places because you travel through center. And once you got your orb, I mean, that's pretty much it should be a done deal. And I've seen them. I have evidence of it. Orbs, checking shit out in various places. You're like, you don't see them, you see their lights. They're definitely not humans moving around the ridges of volcanoes in the middle of the night, and they're over there, and they're making huge lights. They're all over. And I've even seen these light beams that on this one place in Japan, and look like they're a group of kids, and they look like they've got a large phone type of thing, and then a whoop, and then they're gone. Yeah, I got the so it makes sense that once you get an orb and that you travel with it, that your energy, like I'm imagining it being kind of like something that when you get inside of it, it's like a mirror on the inside. Somehow when it gets smaller, so do you. I'm imagining. I don't know if it's true, but somehow, some way, I know that there's some next level technology that we're going to have available to us. Hey, if it doesn't happen, don't quote me on it, but I've seen them parked off the coast. There's tons of them, and they can connect. So once you have an org, like a family, you guys can connect and travel in like groups and things. So it makes sense. They're not trying to hurt us. I've been catching them on the cameras for a few years now. So, but God did say that God would send its army, and Gadon is the leader of the locusts. It says, but don't pay attention to the translation because it was done all back then. They wanted the death, of the mad dad, and the blood, and the that was carnage back in the first. That's not the layer that is necessary right now. I'm going to show you the layer that is necessary, or that God has shown me is the will of God. And it's still right there in the same information, and it's just another layer. And it's to prove to us that that's how the universe works. The universe works in layers. So never expect to know everything about anything ever. That's an intelligent person knows that you're never going to know everything. That's your best way to go about it. Is just to always anticipate other layers coming into light. Because if you're not looking for layers, then you're not going to find them, and it's true. We can close our mind down by not believing it's there, when it is. And I'm here to testify to it. I knew it was there. In Egypt, they refer to this person also as the one who can see the two skies. And it's Thoth, essentially. It was said Atenach, and so I'm led to believe that just like Isis has had various names, this goddess of Isis or the goddess of Hathor, these are entities that come from the central source. So we've asked in the past, like, well, what happened to the Egyptians? What happened to the Mayans and stuff like that, right? Guaranteed, it's because Earth has been there a lot longer. This whole thing, the central source, once they entered into the light, the living waters, then they were able to access other places or remain in the central source. You don't have to go back out into the darkness if you don't want. I did. I chose to come here to help us right now. So you better believe I know what I'm doing, and I know that I'm here to do it. And it wasn't something that I was born remembering, but it's something that I've been brought back to, and every single day it gets more and more clear, more and more, more and more in my shoes that rightfully belong to me. And I have reason to believe that there's a lot more proofs that are going to come to my knowledge that because God keeps flattering me, showing me. I wrote it down. I said that was going to happen. I wrote that right here. God's got it all over the place in such amazing ways. Like, for example, when I first interface with the clouds, and it's like a heart with a halo. Well, that's just a symbol that my daughter and I draw for each other. But it's important because it's so seriously a heart and a halo. And there it is. And it's got very subtle soft light to the clouds. It's like a green and like a red, and it's doing this soft pastel thing. It's so sweet. It's always sparks. And it's just amazing. And in the daytime and the nighttime, there's two different kinds of energy. So it's always here. And it's in all of them, but it's one of them. It's very conscious. And spelled my name, like I said. It's called me many times. Um, the name placed on me, Sadiq, my arm's been sealed. So as far as Isaiah 53, it's talking about my mother, myself, and my daughter, and the Trinity that we're in with the Holy Spirit. And I'm talking about my daughter and I and the Holy Spirit in this ultimate way. Um, and the days of Daniel, they line up, and then some. It's just that there's so much. I mean, there's so many words that have our name, and you think, well, that's just part of the language. Oh, no, no, no. So it's almost like the language is written around it. It's like in Greek too, it's all over. basically uses our names in the same places in Genesis where it says, "Hey, heaven and earth," and it's us. Why ISUS is talking about an us. And then there's 55, it's Hemisus. Hemisus means us as well. And what is a Hemite? A Hemite is like my daughter and I. We're complete together, or our higher self. When you have a child, a mother, when she has a child, she now has broken off her connection to source to have her child as part of her, limb of hers, until the child is old enough to venture out into the world on their own orbit. And that's a mother's responsibility. She's been given the authority to, to she's been given the authority of a child, and that's that. She's guided by God, whether you husbands want to admit it or not, whether you wives want to admit it or not. The truth of the matter is that you got to be a real big asshole to not be following God, because God's been, we're all on the God clock, whether we want to admit it or not. Every trial and every success are part of it. Every one of them. And the thing that makes it all make sense is that we all end up in a happy ever after. So God's got to synchronize things the way that God's got it synchronized. We're all invitation, invitation to unify, to make ourselves feel better, and to know that there really isn't anything to fight about. There really isn't anyone that God wants anyone to get rid of. There really isn't going to be, blood up to the top of the streets, and not unless you guys ask for it. You better wait. God can intervene if right. You guys wouldn't take yourselves out and try to take us out with you, because God won't let that happen either. So the point is that it's written into the story that I that I get here, that I make this announcement, and it becomes public knowledge, and that I get brought to the forefront, and that you all actually come to your senses, because we avoid the apocalypse, and we grow up and we learn that that's what it's about. Not about It's about not falling in the spirit. That's what prophecy fulfilled is about. It's about seeing the clue and letting it serve as the warning that we watch where we're walking and we don't break our ankle. That's the true prophecy fulfillment when it works. When what your mother taught you as you were growing up pays off because you found yourself in a situation that you knew how to handle because of something you were taught. That's when it works. So think about that. When your mother says, da, 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 don't do that or else you're gonna da, da, da. And then you're thinking, if you were to end up, let's just use an example of like drinking and driving. Okay, so now you're in a situation and then you think, I'm an adult, I'm just gonna drink and drive anyway. Right? Come over, you get arrested. Is that what you consider prophecy fulfilled? Like, what did I told you if he was gonna drink and drive, you would get arrested. You know that too. But is that what you think prophecy fulfillment is? And did you do a good job? Like, Mom, you told me I was gonna get arrested. Like, you put it into a new analogy, it makes perfect sense. You go, oh, I guess that's right. I guess the truth of the matter is that we don't want to get arrested. The point was of the prophecy, meaning what foresight, the heads up, and you got to know that you can trust what someone is saying, about what's happening. Be careful up ahead. Is that guy lying? Or can I trust what he's saying? That's what prophecy establishes trustworthiness first, which is for the previous layers. The end time is about now can you get your clue and actually fulfill the prophecy by learning. That's what the point of it is. So it also makes it a lot easier because for your father and I, headquarters, wife, bride, chaperone, the masculine, feminine, dual part of central force, um, we don't want anybody to feel so downtrodden that they don't think that they're invited or they don't think that they should come. Like, we don't want anybody to take themselves out. We want to see everybody make it. You don't want to you don't want to cause yourself to have to be in timeout and then have to go through it all over again. Because I'm pretty sure that it gets drilled into your soul, even though it might not be on the surface like me, the memories come back. Be more frustrated next time you get here, next time. So don't do it. It doesn't sound like something that would pay off. Be more frustrated. So when it comes to Isaiah 53, because this is what concerns me is when I hear stories about like animal sacrifice and the temple and all that stuff. It's like as if they feel like they have to do that in order to get God to like interact again. As if prayers aren't being answered and they think, that that's the only way that God will show up and go "Rawr," or something. Well, here's the great news. Um, no, no, God is consciousness of love and light. And like I said, when we're passing through the darkness, it's that other side. It's the absence of God that functions like a devil, but just because it's the sucking of the light thing, it's the way that it works, the mechanism. So God doesn't want any bloodshed. Um, God wants us to respect life, and that's why mothers have been given the responsibility of the children. And mothers, in fact, are supposed to. Well, the story goes that they were kicked out of the garden, but in truth, we're getting to the garden now. We don't want to get kicked out of the garden. It's the same principle. We want to bring. We don't want to lag out of selfishness and force place the God call to strike. We also don't want to persist as if there's nothing to answer to, which will cause man to get kicked out of the garden. He said it's all about him and his wife, and they're kings of their own castle, and bring back colonialism and try to kill off the single mothers, and they can make their money markets and their cryptocurrencies, and they can. I don't know what fantasies anybody's got in their mind, but I'm here to tell you, you could. And what we are at the gates of is super, super awesome stuff. That, when like nature and its harmony and all of its way it works together and just seamlessly without a second thought. There's a reason why it's been designed that way, and that's why it's super spectacular. It's because there's a reason for it. So, some of you people might have a real strict, die-hard dedication to ideologies, and it's just hardwired like that. It's the only way that you're successful, right? I know. We're all open to change, right? We're all open to new and next, right? We're all big enough, smart enough, capable enough. We can enter. So some people might feel really disturbed by the reality needs to, um, because maybe they just finally got some success just now. They're like, wait, oh man, I worked so hard and then now I got my niche. I'm a computer coder, or I love right. You're in the money now. So now you're ready to go. You're thinking, what? You're going to stop me in my tracks? Well, first of all, let me tell you, it's just a timing thing. But nonetheless, that future was never going to happen because God already, again, it's not if God comes, it's not if God shows up, it's that. It's already open for her. There's really no, that's that's the perspective everyone needs to get. It's just like the sun coming up. Well, I know you don't like the daytime, but the sun's coming up there. Well, if you don't want to die, you're going to go inside. That sort of thing. So I'm trying to make everyone's heart feel better. So who else is going to be upset? Like, well, the ones I want to share the message to. Why came to me today, which is that, because when I do that talk about animal sacrifice, and my stepmother, her and her mother and her sister, they're Jewish. Their grandmother came on the boat, the Starliner. She almost went on the Titanic, but from a survivor. Okay, I was 2 when she became my mother. So essentially, because I was raised by Jewish women, I technically qualify on that level. And also when it comes to the house of David, the son of her and my father, his name is David. And see, I'm heavy. I'm the house of heavy. So anyway, I'm not trying to qualify underneath your guys' stuff, but I'm here to tell you, I'm the one whose arm has been sealed. I'm the one who has the place in the name. Um, daughter Zion, you know, uh, wife of God, the bride. And so I thought to myself, again, it's a win-win, and everybody deserves to get the invitation. So I'm not going to pick on them. I can't. I'm not trying to. I don't want to, but I just feel like there's a disgruntlement. That there's no way in. Like as if for some reason I don't know what it is, but I want. It came to me that I need to extend. I want to extend it to you that way you feel the love as well. Like everybody gets the invitation, and also everybody gets to connect. And I want to see you guys feel better. And I want to I want you to welcome the truth that Messiah doesn't have to be a man. That's just what you guys are stuck to in your mind. And I've got the Y chromosome, so I'm essentially a man the way it was God made it. And you call it man, but I call it human. God made a human, and out of the human came flesh and bones. And that split off into things, and then you started it from there. You see what I'm saying? The chicken came before the rooster. So you guys might be diehard about the real person, but I'm saying that's semantics. That's semantics of the ego, and it's really all it is because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even make any sense. Jesus couldn't be this, even Jesus couldn't be the Messiah. Why? Because the whole point of the God code is to upgrade us. And that's why God puts its mono gene into the vessel so that God's bloodline can get birth. Women are supposed to have children with God, not man. The meddling with the midst of the garden is all about. He was supposed to touch her. God was supposed to. We were supposed to conceive children. But he's supposed to. No. That's why we don't want to get killed. That's another one of the end first alpha omega moments where essentially the story goes that way because we don't want to get kicked out of the garden. We don't want to stay arrogant. Okay? Um, that's what we're going to do, actually. Because we enter the living spheres. Children are not going to be again. This society is going to change. We're going to have children when they're ready to. It's going to be having anything to do with economies and birth rates and husbandry. If you have a woman that invites you to the home and you're like, that's in the upcoming future because God's getting the kingdom settled properly again. And I'll be honest with you, most times, to my knowledge, my instincts and my memories say, not many men make it into the gates. It's just the ego thing. It's what happens every time. To my knowledge, I have no memory, not one, of mankind making it. That's why I'm a little bit sassy about it. It's time, you guys. I'm graduating. I'm not going to do this again. I won't be the chaperone next time. And, I'm not. I can't promise you that the chaperone's going to be as badass as I am. And I'm the teacher, so you got to see. I'm going to lead us through a session of learning, and we're going to travel around. It's going to be awesome. I don't even want to get started on it, but I'm here to tell you it's going to be fun. We're all going to feel spectacular. We're going to get to know our earth. We're going to feel alive. We're going to feel energetic. All the things that everybody's been worried about is going to take care of itself. Just trust that it will. And if you've ever had the idea of stepping out on a limb for something, right? Or those of you who've ever contemplated why you needed, I know there's a lot of people I know have this, which is like they come to Jesus as if they've decided to settle down. they, they, they reach this point where they're like, hey, guess what? It's a Jesus thing. It's like, oh, you stop drinking. It's like, as if it's a thing that you have to decide to do. You've got to be ready to hunker down. It's not that deal when it's properly established. It comes so naturally. It feeds off of each other and it's building kind of way. There's so much awesome that we have to look forward to. And, but I want you to have the truth because we won't have any second thoughts or regrets because we're not in charge of it. When the God clock strikes or when the sun comes up, it happens on its own. So no one gets their hands on this stuff. So the whole thing about judgment is to bring everybody up to the knowledge, which is to let us have that opportunity to receive the truth because we're receiving the love. So we can allow ourselves to forgive ourselves and to make those apologies where we didn't see the need for them before because once stop, turn down the machines and go have that meeting in our new space, energy gets generated. It's just how it is. So with all of us willing to participate in this, it's just, a couple thousand years, and, and it's like getting the promotion and going into the boot camp for it. But it's not going to be summer camp. So offended by any questions. I have no offense if anybody wants to talk to me, but just so you know that the name's Allah are also associated with our names. Ale, Allah, M, Alekem, Aleka, um, Alei Rahim. Um, I'm also been given the name Isaiah, but it's also pronounced Isayan. The intelligence, the two beasts. There's one beast that is the money market computer of predictions that's been writing their protein folding fraud. And I'm not saying it's all fraud. What I'm saying is that they've used the computer to create the mathematics for this jargon that they don't have any pictures for. I can guarantee you that in oh, thank you. Uh, no, I don't like commercials. Aren't they so obnoxious? They think that they're getting customers. I guess they are, but we're not going to have that either. We're going to have a whole new system. And again, so nobody's getting their empires. God's getting God's empire. But because God gets it, we all get it. Okay? So there's nothing to complain about. The only people that are going to be complaining are those people that intended on being dictators, and they should never have believed that was ever going to happen, because that would require the cosmos to be so dumb. That's how you know it's a fabricated idea in the mind of a delusional, empty heart. Nobody knows how to feel the love that is from pure central source because we haven't had it. We haven't tasted that real chocolate yet. And once you get it, you know. And we want everybody to want to feel that. Because truth be told, that's the most productive use of the time between A and B to get us to get to the gates and have what it takes to actually unify through so much enthusiasm, because we want it and we need it. We need it. Well, it generates the energy so that way when we connect, we turn on. We're going to get this shift together. And we can actually see ourselves as accomplishing graduating kindergarten. Hey, it's embarking on it's a big deal. And it's where we're at. So nobody needs to be worried about anything. Any of those worries that you've got in your brain, I guarantee you, and I can promise you, you just don't know what you need to know in order to know that you don't need to know that. Like, for example, I don't need to know guaranteed what the future is going to be, because if I don't worry about it now, then we're not gonna know what we're not gonna have what we need then. I know that's the mentality we've been in. No longer applicable. And one of the God codes is you got to get good with the mystery. Yeah, you got to get good with it. So God's proving to all of us that God exists in order for us to have the knowledge to connect with our higher self. And once we're all connected with our higher self, and then we have our sidekick, we're going to be so much more capable, especially when nobody's slowed down by the competition stuff, the being better than each other and keeping it in the know between those who are. Okay, so here's one of the kvetches that I anticipate, which is mankind has been leading man astray. It's all been about fathers and sons, and they all believe that they all believe that they're entitled, and that's the only way that they can beef each other up to go, don't hang out with girls, and that's masculinity, and it's all twisted upside down stuff. That's just been the mentality that you guys have been running on. So again, I reiterate, this is something that none of us have seen before. So please approach this with new eyes and see this as being able to see the finish line. Finally, we're here. It's fucking awesome. So don't expect to be able to count on this repeating stuff. This is new. So take the leadership that God has given us, and without making it complicated for you. That's what we want, you to actually receive this. And there is no room for an antagonist or a what if competition winner or loser. It's not possible. It's just not what's happening. And I'm not worried about what happens to me, because God and I are already in the thing, and we already got that worked out. So don't worry about me. I'm trying to get you guys to receive it. If you guys don't want to connect, you guys want to push it, and because you guys are so hard up to play apocalypse games, look, this is as far as I'm willing to go. But we'll make one of your developers. You guys can make yourselves a cute little video game, a little VR video game, and you can play it to your heart's content in privacy. If that matters to you so much, to pretend that you want to play with weapon games and warfighting, if you want to play it out, we'll get you the top of the line virtual reality video game that you can go play in your closet. All right. If that's what you need, you can have that. But that's as far as we're going to go. And why would you need anything more than that? I mean, don't you personally think it's going to feel better when you realize it's just a game and you can actually step away from that murder mayhem? I think. Because we're not going to let you play the game once you do the thing. But I'm saying if you need to get it out of your system, well, certainly the virtual reality game is going to let you play it out more times than actually doing it in real life, because you only have one planet you can blow up. You can't do it. You're not going to do it. We want to see everybody grow up and mature and graduate together. And I think it's the greatest news anybody could ever hear, which is, holy cow, it's happening. You know, God does exist, and I've got the proof, and again, we got to get this message out, and so that way we can bring the story to the forefront, and you guys can, instead of interrogate me, you guys can let me share with you. It's a beautiful story, and I'm just a human with all of us. My connection to source is what it is, and it's because someone's got to be here for that. And it's beautiful, and it's true, and it's real, and there's the nowness that needs this. So it's the good news that I want to share with the world, and it's the olive branch that I want to extend to all religious families. Until you know what you don't know it. It's not appropriate at this point that we're entering the gates where we're finally going to get to experience the taste of pure love that we haven't had. It's not appropriate to be like, okay, wait, you guys don't get to go. What are you talking about? We're all just fucking able to high five each other that we got this far. Fuck yeah, hero. If you can make it into the gates, you qualified. It's as simple as that. So let everybody try. Let everybody get it going there. You, if you want your opportunity, then don't be so selfish to think that God needs your input. With all due respect, God's got it all under control. The God clock's already spoken for. Before it, when it was issued, it was already spoken for. So that's what I'm saying is with all due respect, don't worry about things needing you to fix it. God's got it. God's got it handled. Nature's got it. It's all handled. You don't have to worry about that. You can have some free time to relax and enjoy yourself. That's an important thing too. Matter of fact, you play a very important role by allowing it. Very much so. That's the reason why I'm putting this message out there, to try to send some warmth into the hearts, is to help those who want to fight it so badly. I'm hoping to send something to help you feel comfortable with it, or at least start opening up to it. Because I know that it's not easy when you're hardwired after generations of determining something. They're like, we're going to do this to the end. Right, 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 grandpa. Right, but don't fall for it. I mean, come on. They didn't know what I'm sharing with you because it wasn't easily seen. The scripture has these other layers to it that I'm able to share with you. I didn't even look. When I was a teenager, I read the Bible once, like they told you to. Read these chapters, and it didn't resonate the way that it reads. It's because it's a translation that only resonates to those people from a long time ago. There's a layer that's applicable now, and that's what I'm going to share with you. But the point I'm making is, even the grandparents from a long time, they didn't have the knowledge that you're getting now. So try your best to not be guided by old timer stuff like that, because they weren't trying to hurt you, I'm assuming, set you up for failure, and they weren't trying to force you to end up in hell type thing. But so therefore you're able to update your own knowledge and say, well, it's no longer applicable because we know something now that's new. That's the best I can do, is to try to help you all understand that it's happening. We're at that point where the tribulation doesn't have to happen. It's already happened. My tribulation, my persecution, those 7 years already happened. And we've already met the 1335th day, which is 75 days more than the 7 years. And there's one that I have to prove, and it's the one that's associated with the setting up of the abomination of desolation, the day of the last burnt offering. And I'm curious to know if my daughter did get murdered in that massacre in January 2023, or they pretended like she got murdered in that massacre so that they could steal her brain and burn her body. But whatever the case may be, I am concerned that they may have sacrificed my very daughter, because they may be planning to sacrifice me in that red heifer thing, because I'm actually the woman that shows up, and my mom's already dead. And if they killed my daughter, then they think they're going to get their hands on the final one, and then God's really going to come through for them. No. I just let the air out of your tire. No, baby. I'm here to tell you, you guys are convoluted on a false storyline. There is no conquering God, because there is no devil that exists. The one that you've been worshiping is the sucking energy of the darkness. It's the other side of God, or the absence of God. So whatever you guys have been doing with your magic wands and your blood rituals and stuff like that, was the darkness, and we're no longer in it. We're in the entrance phase. So it's already old news. That devil that you think you'll conjure up by murdering and torturing and slaughtering, whatever you want to call it, the chosen one, that's work of the devil to straight try to do that. And so but it would never it was never going to work. It was never going to work like that. And so, in addition to you guys having to realize that it's not what you thought it was, so does everybody else. Lots of people are like, Jesus, but where's Jesus? And I'm like, I'll show you. God already helped you out with that. I live with the face on the shroud of Turin. But what we got to find out is if they planted my blood on it to set up the situation because they wanted to steal my destiny, or if in fact it is blood from that time and I happen to have the same genes as it. In either event, Jesus could very well, if my daughter has to come back to life. Well, so this is the thing about the 15 years. 15 years from the day of my mother's death takes us back to the end of 2008, when I was still pregnant, right before I gave birth to my daughter. And that's what I want, is our time to return to one another, because she's been tortured. I want my daughter's childhood. I want to be the mother as well. And that's exactly what God would do. My daughter was kidnapped at 7.5. She's 16 years old now. I want to be able to do this fresh. But I was like, God, just give her back to me. Let us go back in time so that I can at least save her from this happening, but I'm getting chills. When I did the dates, and when I realized the 15 years could correspond to the day of my mother's death, because it does, because also I've also calculated that we would get that forward, that past brought forward, because we're going to remember. We're not going to go back in time and like not remember any of this. No. Time is going to be brought forward, and we're going to remember, but we're also going to get it renewed. This is what I believe is going to happen, or it'll happen to us. But God's promise that God's going to give us back to each other, and this is how it's going to happen. It's also on that crown, the imperial crown of Roman Empire. So by the end of 2026, I'll be 48, turning 49. And 15 years prior to that, but just the way that God does it, God doubles up on things just to prove and prove and prove again, right? Like the two witnesses. That comes from basically the New Testament reiterating the things that were written in the Old Testament. It's like a second testimony of it, and it's bullet because two people said it. Okay, so God does that too. Well, next year when I'm turning from 48 to 49, 15 years prior to that will be when I'm going 33 to 34. So it'll be when I'm 33. 15 years prior to my daughter, who will be 17, turning 18, will be when she's turning 3. And when we go back in time to the 15 years prior to my mother's death, I'll be what? 30 years old. I'll have just turned 30. So it's all these numbers in the threes. That's the seals that I've been given on my arms. I've been sealed with the Sadiq, the constellation of Orion, and what looks like an EL thing, but it actually looks like it's a croc and a flail. It looks like it's a croc and a flail that's like this way. And it's still there 3 years later. Yeah, so I just lost my train of thought. I was telling you about the threes and the time and when we're going to go back in time. Oh, about when it's going to happen, when we need to have this ready by. Well, so according to the date calculations, that would happen by towards the end of 2026. And it calculates out based on, yes. So I said, did they murder my daughter in that massacre, the 6-person massacre in Visalia that happened the day after I started doing research on a same name, Jorge Vasquez in Visalia? And I got that text message on my phone that said, chase.killOUGH.ck@gmail is associated with your account. And that was fuckery. Chase, kill you. And then what happens one day later? There's a massacre. A teenage girl and her son get chased down and then killed execution style. And what does she look like? Oh my God, it was in the same place. And it was, what? Did they want me to believe that she was murdered because they stole her so they could sacrifice her? Well, based on those calculations, I did those calculations. That final 1,260 days. And was it also, but the way that it goes with the 1230, 1290, 1335, 1260, it says 1290 is that final one. And so actually what that would indicate is that there's 45 more days between the 1290 and the 1335. So I added those. So what that adds is those 45 days to 1260, bringing us up to 1305, matching with Revelations 13:5, starting from what? The day of Passover in 2023, if they had decided to pretend that my daughter was dead so they could actually sacrifice her, the last burnt offering, if they actually sacrificed my daughter on Passover of 2023, which, by the way, I got pregnant because I was sexually battered on 4/9, on April 9th. Now, the way that the Daniel day is calculated out, from the day that my daughter was kidnapped, 7 years and 75 days later takes us to December 3rd. She died on November 30th, right? 3 days afterwards. It calculates to her death plus 3 days. And that's a key element. And I know why, because anyway, I'll tell you that some of the time. The 3 is a key indicator. So Passover started on 4/5, right? The night of 4/5, which, by the way, so 6, 7, 8. So 3 days after that Passover evening would be the evening of 4/8, which is basically the beginning of the next day, 4/9. I got pregnant on 4/9. I'll be turning 4/9. And it calculated out to Halloween 2026. I don't know, but this is all I can do. And again, and that would be when I would be turning 49 and she would be turning 18, but we'd go back 15 years. I would be 33 and she would be 3, but we actually get to go when I was 30 and she is just about to be born, matching Revelation 12, the woman who's pregnant, about to have a child, standing on the serpent and the moon at her feet, and the crown of 12 stars. That would make exact sense. And the thing is that I was already brought to know that I was the woman in Revelation and that Michael has something to do with it. And so anyway, lots of powerful things. I got so much more. It's just not even funny. But the point I'm making is that there's another layer that we need to understand. So it's not what we think it is for the most part. It actually turns out to be what we think it is, which is that God's the loving God and that it is happy and loving. And it turns out to be that. And it's none of the creepy, ugly stuff. And isn't that a relief for some of you? It certainly couldn't feel spectacular to have to feel obligated to do some kind of blood ritual thing. I just don't think that that could feel good. Whether you believe that it does or not, I'm here to tell you, no, not when you get the taste of pure love from Central Source. You don't want to do that. So I'm here to give you the relief that it's not going to be something you have to worry about doing anymore. But I want, most importantly, those of you who are avoiding the Isaiah 53 because your ideology of it involves this masculine dominant thing. I'm just here to tell you, it's you don't want to cause yourself to get on a timeout, because it's not an option for it to go any other way than God's plan that's already been spoken for. And the olive branch belongs to you. We want everyone to receive the invitation and get there. And I believe in all of you. And I really want to bring some relief to the hearts and souls of a lot of people that are so exhausted, so just tired of this, so just needing a hug and an embrace from the universe. And guess what, guys? Yeah, God got that taken care of. +1, God's a +1 factor. And I'm here as our chaperone and our mama and our guide to get us through this transition, the Omega to Alpha moment. And it's important, and it involves the Trinity, and it also involves our connection, all of us. We can do this. So just remember, if we don't, it's still going to happen. And that'll just cause only those of us whose frequency is in the right place to remain. And those of you will be put on that timeout and have to start all over again. But you don't have to. This is the time it's all been culminating for. We haven't gotten to this point yet. This is what it's been culminating for. So that makes it a lot easier too, huh? Like, don't have any expectations. Why would you do that? There's nothing to base it on. This is what it's been culminating for. So hopefully that brings some light, some good news, some hope, some inspiration. And there's a whole lot more where that came from. But the point that I'm making is this conversation needs to come to the forefront, because there's leaders in the world that don't plan on having to talk to a girl, or that don't plan on having to deal with a nice guy. They've got it all under control with their devil worship. And sorry, guys, again, I'm not bullshitting you. I'm telling you the fucking truth. You got to get over that. It's no longer applicable. So any of you that are convincing yourself that the devil exists and that you guys are on the side of the bad guy, I'm here to tell you, you guys are going to be the ones that are fooled. It speaks on that. It speaks on it. So as far as the destiny that's already written, right from the beginning, the destiny written already says that you guys get thrown in the lake of fire. The ones like Neen, like my stepmother. What did I tell you my stepmother was? Okay, those are the ones slated as the beast that get thrown in the lake of fire. So that's why I'm appealing to you. I'm saying, hey, don't do yourselves in trying to fulfill prophecy when that's not the way you fulfill it. You fulfill it by avoiding it. So, and I know that's a scrambled mess of me trying to put some light to the situation. I don't know where to begin. I've never had to explain this before, but we can do this together. We can get this conversation started, and I'm prepared, refined by God, and I'm getting there more and more every day. So I'm ready to step out on a limb just like the rest of us into the unknown. But I know we can do this, and I know that I've got this, and I know that God steps in the nick of time to give me the information I need when I need it. God will step in the nick of time and save my life. God will guide me in the right direction. So I've got that connection, and I want us all to feel better sooner than later. And it's here, and it's a lot to look forward to. And it's the kind of thing that takes a bit to resonate. It's taken me a number of years to I mean, since the beginning, I knew that this was what it was. That's what I mean when I say God meets me on my field. I called it like that. I was like, oh, this is what's going to happen. And then it happened. So that almost makes me stutter, like, so yeah, so I guess it's really happening. Yeah. Is that how it happens? I guess that's how it's happening. I mean, I can't really, again, there's no stealing anybody else's destiny. So someone can't just close their eyes and wish to be in my shoes, but it isn't an easy pair of shoes to wear. My daughter is going through torture or has gone through torture. That's why God gives us our time back. And it makes perfect sense. It's the only time we get a second chance. God proves that God exists through this situation. God proves that God's in charge of the God clock by giving us that time forward and then some. So that's my message for the day. By the way, that whole Sabbath thing, remember there's layers. I know you guys know what it meant back then, but there's another layer on top of everything. And I can't remember what was it, Deuteronomy or something, but I'm telling you something. You know what Sabbath is about? For real, because because the way that God actually is, God never wanted any sacrifice. But again, I know that you guys did what you guys did back then, and that's my point. The Sabbath is for you respecting your children, not God. God doesn't want you to be doing all this. No. God comes into the land through the children. The children represent the presence of God. And it's the older that we get, the farther we get from our higher self, because they've been raised by mothers that had to serve the fathers, etc., etc. We're going to get it right. Finally, we're going to know how to do things, and we're going to do it. The Sabbath day, and I know it's counterintuitive. You guys are like, no. Just let it happen. I was pointing out to you that the day is actually about your children. Okay? And Malachi, the last scripture in Malachi says, the hearts of the parents better turn back to the children so that the children can turn their hearts back to the parents, or they'll be held to pay. You better believe it. What God wants for each and every one of us mothers to do is to raise our children with all the love and honor them as our Lord. That's what having children conceived by God means. You answer to God. And when God gives you a child, you answer to your child. And it's because it's a loving thing that it doesn't happen the way they think. No, that's a mechanism. That's a scheme of all this nonsense bullshit. So you can have control. That's not how it works. And it just is that way. But that's just what I wanted to tell you since today's Sunday. And I think that it'd be a very healthy thing for everybody to start getting used to the idea that we've got a new paradigm on our laps that we've never embarked upon before. It's happening whether you like it or not. It's not an option. And you're not going to want to you're not going to want to cause yourself to be on the timeout. I'm saying you really aren't going to want that. So I encourage everybody to welcome this and to spread the word and start the conversation. Be willing to be charming and mature, intelligent and relaxed. We want everyone to receive the refreshment of what's upon us. It's awesome. And I know that I've got the vision and I know that you don't, but that's what questions help. When you ask questions and you get answers and we can discuss it some more. So I'm available. And I love you all. God loves you all. Earth is actually who we're dealing with, this planet. And that's why essentially the Holy Spirit and the bride represent the mother and father of Earth. Father Earth, mother humanity. And it's depicted even in Egypt. Don't be haters. Everybody gets to be a winner. So if happy-go-lucky, refreshing bothers you, it's only because you're not familiar with what love truly feels like, since no one's had it yet. And that's acceptable, huh? Give yourself a chance. I know you're not familiar with it, and I know that it's uncomfortable, but it won't be for very long. Hang in there. We're going to have each other's backs. That's what. And boys are going to finally behave like men in these final hours. Charming, intelligent, considerate, mature leaders that have the intelligence and the bravery to know what's what, when what is what, how the prophecy gets fulfilled by behaving like winners. We're at that point, and this is when we go, oh, well done, good game there, sir. This is that time where you pull out your gentleman's cap and behave like it. That's what I'm trying to get the energy of. It's not a good look to be a war-fighting mongrel, like still playing paranoid war-fighting games, because it's not what's applicable anymore. That's all. So anyone that wants to keep pushing that probably needs to get on the phone with me so they can have a private conversation so I can help, so I can tune in to you specifically and give you the information that you need to know in order to help you come to understand what's happening as well. I will be the person to direct those questions to because I am that appointed individual. And so there you have it. 5, a little bit after 5. Have a great day. May the sun shine. And just know that, God's on the prowl. So all you dirty dirties that aren't getting this message yet, who are just going about their business right, God's going to still be fucking shit up. Just so you know, God's going to fuck shit up until it's done. So if God has to keep escalating because nobody wants to catch a clue, well, that's what's going to happen. That's why we actually do have a responsibility to spread the word. You could say to yourself, fuck, I'm going to talk about that. Well, again, we're all one family, and it's all of our obligation to spread the word and at least let me take the heat. If you want to talk shit, like, have you heard about this chick? Whatever you got to say, that's fine. I can handle it. The point is to get everybody the clue. We need to get everybody to get the clue. So we can't advocate for any of that stupidity. It's not going to help anybody. It's going to hurt everybody. And God's going to keep fucking your shit up if you keep doing that. So don't do that. Any questions? Other than that. Wait, I go like this and like that. It's my own little. Alrighty. Be good to yourselves and to each other. And reach out to me if you want to communicate anything. You can email me at chief@getihalo.com. And until next time. How do I end it? Oh, here we go.